So welcome everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in and participating in this course. When we were making the program, I thought about, we all have had quite a difficult 1.5 years so far, and the difficulties might not be finished yet. And we cannot deny that that has an impact on our mind, right? And on our physical well-being. So I thought maybe we can do a couple of days, light days, where we're just gonna practice techniques where we can open the heart, where we can reconnect with our heart, where we can find some relief of that tension that we have been building up in our body and in our mind. So that is what we're going to do for 3 days, and how the days are going to be divided. I thought if we, in each teaching, I can maybe have I'll talk for 45 minutes, which is most of the time not just me talking. I will also involve you somehow with questions. And then we have some time for question and answer, and then we finish with a meditation that are all focused on opening the heart. The teachings that I'm going to give, I like to give the teachings for everyone, whether you are a Buddhist or not, whether you have had experience with Buddhist teachings or not. So I will try to use as much as I can what we call secular words, words that that are not particularly specific for Buddhism, so that you can all follow. And whatever belief you have, wherever you are coming from, Buddhist teachings are only there to benefit you. So if you hear something that you think, yeah, I like this, then you can use it and you can practice it. And if you hear things that you think, no, this is not for me, that's fine too. You leave it, right? So you just take with you whatever is useful for you, whatever you feel is going to benefit you, and all the rest you can leave. So the 3 days, I thought today we're going to talk about what we call, and that is the Buddhist word, the Four Immeasurable Thoughts, which are beautiful thoughts to help us open the heart. They are light, they are simple, we can repeat them at any time, and it is, I think it is a very powerful and beautiful practice. So today I'm going to talk about that. And then tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, I will speak more about how we can work with the view that we have on reality, how we can work with our perspective, how we can work with our attitude in order to create conditions that are more suitable to open up and to soften the heart. Okay, that's a little bit how I want to structure the coming 3 days. So today we're going to talk about the Four Immeasurable Thoughts, and maybe it is good, useful to take 2 minutes, 3 minutes to just focus our mind, to become really present where we are, to direct our mind in a way that it can be focused on the teachings, and then we start. So in order to do that, we can call it, we're going to do a short meditation. But meditation is basically that you say, I'm turning my mind inwards. And I'm going to find a very calm and peaceful place within myself, where there are not the disturbances of everyday life, where I let go of all the worries about the future, about what is going to come, and where I let go of all the things that have happened in the past. I'm just going to be present. And to be present, you can focus on your body. Your body is always in the present moment. It is never in the future, never in the past. So when we focus the mind on the body, the mind automatically comes to the present moment. And when the mind is in the present moment, delusions, disturbing emotions, such as attachment and anger and jealousy, they cannot arise. We are just focused on our experience. What am I feeling? What is happening in my body? With curiosity, with a non-judgmental mind. And then you can deeply breathe in and deeply breathe out, letting go of whatever is stored in the body and can be released. And then you make a strong determination that this coming 1.5 hours, you're going to focus on the teachings, you're going to focus on your own experience, you're going to reflect on the things that are said, and that's it. That's what you're going to use your mind for, your intention for. And you're going to do that with a motivation in order to become the best version of yourself, in order to develop all these qualities that you have deep down inside you, in order to allow them to develop, to arise, to surface, to open up. So that you become a more easy, pleasant, wonderful person for yourself, but also for everyone that you come in contact with. And then relax your mind, open your eyes. And we can start the teachings. And so I don't know about you, so when I do this, I always think, what happened to me? What happened to me in the last 1.5 years? And what I have been noticing, since this whole Corona crisis and the lockdowns and the restrictions that we had on several levels, and on the way that things have been communicated, what it has done to me, and you have to see if that is true for you too, and maybe other things have happened to you, is that somehow this self-protection, my self-preservation got triggered, so I was more focused on making sure that I'm safe, making sure that I'm doing the right thing, making sure that all focused on me, all focused on protection, all focused on how can I get out of this in the best way. You recognize that? Is that what happened to you? You can say yes, then I can see if and if you say no, for me, not at all, that's fine too. So when that happens, we become more self-centered, right? We are more focused, especially when we talk about health. Health is about the body. That is almost who we are. In our experience, whatever happens to the body is what happens to us. When the body is not there anymore, we are not there anymore. So when there is something happening to the health of everyone, including ourselves, the self-protection, that part of us that wants to protect increases in the mind. True? You know, and so when I want to protect myself, I'm more focused on me. I become more self-centered. I'm not so interested in what is happening to all sentient beings, right? Maybe I'm interested in my family and my mom and my dad and brothers, sisters, children, so that I make sure that everyone around me is okay. But I'm not that far interested anymore into sentient beings that are all over the world, all over the universe. True? We haven't even thought about that. And so when I'm more self-interested, my self-grasping mind, my holding on to me becomes stronger. And from that self-grasping mind, all the delusions arise. Our fear, our anger, our attachment, jealousy. And so maybe you have found yourself that you are easier agitated, you are more short-tempered. Maybe you feel that you're actually more clear about your priorities, you know, that you feel like, oh, this is more important for me, and this, I'm not going to give that any more attention. Maybe you feel that your mind is more disturbed. Maybe you're more confused. Maybe you notice that you are less concentrated. Right? All these things, if they have happened, they are all related to your self-grasping mind, your self-centeredness, which has been increasing over the last year. This is what I think. If it's not true, please put it in the chat. I want to hear it. Having this situation also brings up a lot of unpleasant feelings. So there is less space for pleasant feelings. Pleasant feelings normally come with a feeling of relaxation, while unpleasant feelings come with tension. Right? Unpleasant feelings, we don't want to feel them. So then there is more aversion in the mind. When there is more aversion in the mind, but the unpleasant feelings keep coming, there might be more anger in the mind. They all start to arise naturally. It's not that we are doing anything, right? We're just the information that we are getting can cause, is a condition for these feelings and these reactions to these feelings to arise in our mind. Okay, so you don't have to beat yourself up or you think, why did I become so short-tempered this year? There are many reasons why. And they're not coming from inside. Of course, the reaction comes from inside you, but there are many conditions outside us that have this effect on us. Right? And if we're not aware how things from outside affect us internally, we might, you know, I don't know what kind of effect that has on you, you know. But you might think, why did I become like that? What has happened? You know, and maybe you blame yourself, or maybe you are disappointed in yourself, or maybe you have other expectations of yourself. And so someone says, I have become more self-centered. So that is an observation that you have done, but you also have become more aware of the suffering of others. And so, yes, you know what, the situation in the world is not just creating, it's not just a condition for more negativities to arise or more disturbances to arise. There are many beautiful things can come from this, right? We become more aware of the suffering of others. We become more aware that we are not living in a very small world, but that the world is very big, and how things that happen here can influence the whole world. It can go over the whole world, right? So there, and I don't know. For me, positive things that have happened is that because of the lockdown, there is more time. So you can slow down, you can de-stress, you can connect with other aspects in yourself. You can look at certain things that you haven't been able to do for so many years because there was never time, so there are positive effects as well. But for this course, I'm going to focus on, that self-grasping. But what I would like to do is that we're going to do the opposite, that we can open up again. And so this time can also have made that you care more about yourself. Is that what you're saying? I feel I care about myself more than I ever did. So you can become more aware of what is going on inside you if your world has become limited. And there is a good aspect in it, that you become aware that, oh, I actually have these needs and I never had time to attend to these needs. And now there is a lot of time to do this. And so I'm caring, but it is all about me, So if you find yourself in that situation, you can also try to think that there is nothing wrong with caring about yourself. You can, for instance, do that with the motivation so that you can also care about others. Or you can do it with the motivation that you would like to care about others in the way that you care about yourself, so that you don't keep it just for you and not for others. And then someone says, I felt like before COVID, I was more forced to think about many people around me. And during COVID, I realized that I wasn't doing that because I was choosing to do it. So during COVID, you chose to do so. Is that true? Nikita, I'm not sure if I understand what you try to say. So you have more choice, is that what you're saying? No?
Can I say something?
Sure.
So I felt like since in school also and even in college, I was always a person who used to care a lot about what people thought and what, like, I would change my actions because the other person shouldn't feel that, because of me, they are having to face a situation that's uncomfortable for them. So I feel like it was more coming from a place of, I guess, fear of not being accepted for who I was.
Mm-hmm.
And now, when during COVID, because I'm just with my family, it feels like naturally I feel like I'm more of a person who is a little self-absorbed. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I like to be within myself, and there is always this conflict wherever I'm in a situation where there are people always feel that need of giving care and taking care both, like
Mm-hmm.
more than giving care. But there is always this barrier that I feel because I'm so absorbed in my own mind, in my own thoughts, and I feel excited when I'm thinking about something that I'm excited about. And then suddenly, when you're put in a situation where you're around people, and in that moment, it's very difficult for me to switch to a mode where I'm actually, coming from a place of caring.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes more like a obligation, even if in the moment I feel like for a few minutes it's coming naturally, but
Mm-hmm.
after those few minutes it feels like it's stretching because it feels like an obligation.
Yes. So you have a kind of a need to have your own space and be in your own
Yeah.
mind and
But I
process things
also
on
have
your
a
own.
need to give
Rather,
care
yes,
and to build relationships with people that are, because, and it feels
yes,
like creating relationships with people is so uh, like exhausting at times because
yes. But
it's
this becomes a little bit your personal thing,
conflict.
isn't it? It's like I think the COVID period can have made us more aware of these kind of tendencies that we have, you know, and it has given you some space where you have discovered other aspects of yourself that it sounds like you still need to discover them more before you can find the balance back into good social contact, right? And so you take your time for that. There is nothing wrong with that. Okay?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, sure.
Okay. Let me continue a little bit. Having all these feelings arising of agitation, frustration, aversion, protection, your mind gets more close, you become more you become more self-centered. Maybe you feel you're closing your heart. Do people feel that you have been closing your heart? Right? Little bit, not so much. Anyway, when you feel that, it's like, what is the antidote to that? What is the antidote to fear? To living in fear? What is the antidote to living with agitation? What is the antidote to living with anger? What needs to be in the mind that all these negative feelings disappear? Let me see if someone comes with the words. What is the magic word? What is opening the heart? Love, 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 loving kindness, trust, compassion. Let's start with loving kindness. Loving kindness can include compassion, can include gratitude, can include peace, right? But love, when we feel loved, when we love, the heart starts to open up. And all these feelings of agitation, of aversion, of not liking, they all melt away. True? When the heart opens up, we become an possible. When things are difficult, when there is tension, we lose the feeling of love. So what is love? Love is, in Tibetan Buddhism, the wish for others to be happy. And that others includes ourselves, right? It's not everybody else except me, but it is everybody including me. When we have a loving mind, we wish everyone, including myself, to be happy. And that happiness can refer to many things. It can refer to, I want you to have whatever you want, you know, that makes you happy. Happiness can refer to just the feeling of happiness that doesn't necessarily come from having what I want. For instance, if I do something for somebody, you know, I give something or I take care of somebody, that can make me feel very happy. That is also a happy feeling. That is a happy feeling that comes with creating positive actions. When I have a positive mind, also I feel happy. That is also a type of happiness. Then there is a type of happiness in Buddhism where we are totally free of all suffering, not just the suffering of pain, but also the dissatisfaction that we experience, the unhappiness that comes with deep-seated beliefs, the unhappiness that comes from our conditioning. When we are free of all that, there is the freedom of all that also comes with a feeling of happiness. So when I wish sentient beings to be happy, that can include all these types of happiness, right? So that is what love refers to. I wish you to be happy. I wish you to be happy. I think, what's his name? this Buddhist actor, oh my gosh, Richard Gere. He said, every person I meet, I think, I wish you to be happy. I wish you to be happy. That is one of his practices. You know, and you can imagine, if I wish you to be happy, what happens inside me? Have you ever thought about that? Just imagine, if you wish whoever is in front of you to be happy, or whoever you see on the screen, I wish you to be happy, what happens in your heart? It naturally starts to soften, isn't it? Very simple. I wish you to be happy. So this is one practice that we're going to focus on today. So when we speak about love, then if we speak about love with our ordinary mind, if I say, oh, I love you so much to our partner or to our child or to our mom, our love is always mixed. It is mixed with attachment. So love says, I want you to be happy. So if I say to my mom, I really love you, I want her to be happy. But my love is not unconditional, in the sense that if my mom would start beating me up and be very mean to me and, you know, whatever, I would at a certain point say, Mom, sorry, you know, this is too much for me. I somehow need some benefit to come back to me in order to keep generating that love, right? If no benefit comes at all, and instead harm comes, it's very difficult to keep the heart open, right? Then somehow the love is disappears, and we say, I don't love you anymore because you're so mean to me, right? So this is our way of love. We have love mixed with attachment. The love is the wish for others to be happy. The attachment is, what can you do for me in return? And when we try to develop love in Tibetan Buddhism or in Buddhism, or maybe, you know, even in general, we want to somehow purify that mind from the attachment so that we can develop a mind that has love no matter what you do to me, that has unconditional love, that has love without attachment, right? If we can generate that kind of love, we do not depend anymore on what people do to us. Our love is coming genuinely from a place of, from a place inside us, which is not determined by any conditions that we experience ourselves in. And so in Buddhism, that is said, we can develop that on the basis of reasoning. At the moment, we are beings, we are, you know, attachment and aversion is all the time in our mind. There are things that we like, there are things that we don't like. These are emotional reactions, right? We all have that. We cannot just stop that. It is kind of us, I would call it, it's not our real nature, but it is our second nature. It is how we are born. It is how all sentient beings react, right? This is an emotional reaction that is not based on reasoning. It is simply based on what I like and what I don't like. If I start to think about applying reasonings, I can start thinking about, for instance, you know, if somebody harms me, my love is finished, right? I don't want that person to be happy anymore. Often I want someone who has harmed me, I want them to suffer as well, right? So what can I do in order to counteract that emotional reaction? Is that I can think the reason why that person harmed me is because they believe that when they do that, that is actually going to make them happy. It is an unskillful way of finding happiness, but this is their belief, because their need to be happy and to be free of suffering is exactly the same as my need to be happy and to be free of suffering. And so I'm start thinking about, oh, they want to be happy just as I want to be happy, and they want to be free of suffering just as I want to be happy. And we are exactly the same in this. And yes, they're harming me today, but you know, maybe tomorrow when I'm in need, maybe they see me, maybe they help me, they can change into a person who is kind to me. The fact that they harm me today is due to several causes and conditions. It is not their true nature, right? And so by applying all these kind of reasonings, we can start to let go of our emotional reaction like, well, you didn't do for me what I wanted, so therefore I'm not going to wish you any happiness. We can drop our limited way of thinking and we can change it into, I can see you have the same need as I have, and I'm going to help you to get that. I'm going to wish you to be happy, just as I want to be happy. All right, so that is purifying our love from that attachment. We do that by applying reasoning. So why would we develop love? You know, what would change in our life when we develop love? When we develop love in the heart, what happens to us? Are we becoming more happy or more unhappy? More happy, yeah? If I have my heart open, I feel more happy. So I'm going to be very selfish, but as Helena says, if you want to be selfish, do it in a wise way, right? What is the best way for me to become happy? Not to get what I want, but to generate love. When there is love in my heart opens and I feel happy, right? So the reason why I want to be a loving person is so that I am a happy person. When I am happy, what happens to my physical health? Does it take anything away from me? Is it harming or is it improving my health? Right? What happens to my blood pressure? What happens to my heart? What happens to all the processes in my body when I'm happy? You know, when we fall in love, and of course, love is, when we fall in love, there is also a lot of attachment, but when the love is there, our body suddenly is capable of doing so many more things than when we're not in love, when we are depressed, right? We suddenly can walk very far, and we can run, and we can, suddenly the body starts doing things that we thought, oh, I didn't know that I could do all that, right? That's because of the love. That's because of something is happening in the body when love is there. Everything becomes more easy, Nikita says. Yes, the health improves. And we know that when we are jealous, when we are angry, we can see people around us, right, who suffer a lot from these delusions. We can see their health, what happens to them. Someone who has a lot of disturbing emotions, they do not have, you know, they're not walking around happy, right? Everything gets blocked, gets stuck. So you can imagine when my body does this, the processes that happen inside, they also don't go well, right? They also get blocked. Toxins start to stagnate. They cannot be eliminated anymore. New oxygen cannot come in. You know, all the normal healthy processes, they just can't function when we have a lot of disturbing emotions in the mind. So when we feel more love, how do other people, how do they relate to us when we are more loving? Would they love us more? Or would they think, oh no, that's such a loving person, I don't like her? All right, we get more liked by others. And when people like us, When we have a problem, people like to help us. So when we are in need, others are there for us. When we need protection, others are there for us. We like to protect people that we like, right? We like to help people that we like. We need to be touched by somebody in order to do something for them. And so when do we like somebody? When there was a lot of love coming back from that person. Sometimes, you know, people who have practiced loving kindness their whole life, they get older, they slowly start losing their brains, you know, maybe, and they are very, very old. But the love that is there makes that, you know, sometimes you hear stories from nurses, they say, we all like to go to that person. We just like to be with that person. We don't know why, but we just like to be there. Right? This is the love that has been generated again and again and again. So even when we cannot ask for help, even when everything starts to function in our body, due to that practice of loving kindness, we will automatically attract people who take care of us. You know, I would say, if you want to have a very good old age, you know, then you have to practice loving kindness right now. Then you don't have to worry that people are not going to take care of you. They will. Right? Long time ago, we would say, I want to have a lot of children so that I'm sure that when I'm old, they're going to take care of me. So now we can say, I'm going to practice a lot of loving kindness. So when I'm old, I'm sure that people will take care of me. So when we practice loving kindness, you know, it improves our health, but also it improves our sleep. At the end of the day, we can say, I had a good day, right? I'm satisfied with my day. I'm content with my day. I made the best out of it. True. And then when we have a good sleep, we wake up and we feel refreshed. When we have a lot of anger, when we have a lot of negative emotions, you know, we experience them through the day. When we go to bed, we don't feel happy. We don't feel good about ourselves. Right? Maybe we regret what we did. Maybe we feel a bit ashamed of the way we spoke. Then we don't have a good sleep. Then we don't wake up in a refreshed way. And so then when loving kindness is in the heart, what happens to the way we look, the way we shine, the way we come across? What do other people see, you know? Sometimes you see people walking, you just see the light radiating from their skin. You know that they're full of loving kindness, right? You can see it. Oh, that's a kind person, you know? And when you think, wow, that's a kind person, you feel comfortable approaching that person. You're not scared of that person, right? And so when people around you are not scared of you, they relax. And when they relax, they will be more kind. Right? So if you start thinking like that, then you can see that if we just practice loving kindness ourselves, how we can have influence on all people around us. When they see us, they will relax. When they are relaxed, they will act differently to whoever they meet. Right? And that becomes like this, the wrinkling in the waters. It just starts spreading around. And so when we have more loving kindness in the mind, disturbing emotions cannot arise so easily. The mind with loving kindness Anger cannot arise in that mind. It's very difficult for jealousy to arise in that mind. Even attachment is not, you know, when there is a lot of loving kindness, it's not so important what I have and what I don't have. I'm happy to share whatever is there, right? The self-grasping mind becomes less intense, so less attachment. And so when these delusions are less in the mind is more peaceful. The mind is more concentrated. So then when we have to do certain tasks, they become more easy. Right? I don't know if we can find any negative aspect in loving kindness. I don't know. I think there are only positive effects in generating love. And in Buddhism, and that is something specific for Buddhism, but you can of course do that also as a non-Buddhist. In Buddhism, there is only one thing that is not as just in Buddhism. There is only one thing that we are sure about in our life, and that is the fact that we're going to die. Right? All the rest, we don't know what is going to happen, but that is a certainty. One day we're going to die. And so that one day in Buddhism, they say the mind at the time of death will determine what is next. And so in order to make sure that your mind is peaceful, you know, sometimes if you have experience with people dying, then you know that if somebody dies peacefully, there is a very different feeling around the person after death than when somebody dies in agony and with fear, right? So in order to create a peaceful mind, you know, the more love we can generate around the time of death, the more peaceful we will die, right? So death is a difficult point. We are scared. We have to let go of everything, our family, our possessions, our body. We have no idea where we're going. Being without a body is very scary. You know, so there are many reasons to create upset in the mind at the time of death. So if we want to be strong at that point, and if we want to generate a mind of loving kindness, the more we have trained during our life in practicing loving kindness, the easier it will come at the time of death. So that is another reason why you could practice it. You know, it's not just that today I have some benefit, but when I practice it, it will come easier tomorrow. It will come be easier when the situation is difficult. And the more we do it, it becomes, you know, it becomes easier. Then even when there is a lot of pain, even when there is fear, I can still be kind. My heart is still soft. All right. So when we practice loving kindness, first of all, we practice for ourselves, right? But I know that we need a little bit of skill in how to do that so that it doesn't become being more self-absorbed. Right? Often we think loving kindness for myself is that I give myself what I want, you know, and I make sure that I give myself first everything that I want before I'm going to think about somebody else. That is not really loving kindness for yourself. That's just attachment. Right? So what is loving kindness for yourself? I would say once I did a course on self-compassion, there you can learn what is real love for yourself. Then after ourselves, we practice that similar loving kindness for those that we love and like, where it comes quite easy, right? Those that we love and like, we already have a lot of loving kindness for them. We want them to be happy, no problem. And then from there, we start to practice with those that are kind of neutral to us, you know, people that we know superficially. Maybe someone in the street, maybe someone in the shop, maybe someone that we know from a distance that we don't have attachment to, strong attachment to. These people are more neutral, then we try to practice loving kindness towards them. And then after that, we try to practice loving kindness to people that we don't like. First, people that are just annoying, that we don't particularly like, that we, you know, think that they are too different for us, or and eventually people that have hurt us, that are really, that we feel, no, I'm not going to let this person ever come close. Also for these people, we practice loving kindness, which means we practice generating the wish for them to be happy, right? But we all know that maybe something in your mind says, oh no, I'm not going to do that. You know, just hold that thought. Don't run too much after that thought. We all have these thoughts. Therefore, everyone has someone in their life that we think, no, not that person, you know. But in Buddhism, we say if we leave out that person, our own loving kindness is not complete. We still have more capacity to love. Because we all have the capacity to love each and every sentient beings equally. We all have that capacity. So when my mind says, everyone but not that person, I'm not living up to my capacity. There is still more that I can do in terms of generating more love in my heart. And yes, it is difficult, right? I don't deny that. I have my own people that I need to practice myself. We all have them. It is difficult, you know, so you take your time and you don't go straight to these people. You do slowly, slowly, slowly. You build the capacity. And at a certain point, that capacity is strong enough that you can send one wish of loving kindness to that person. And then maybe the next day, another small wish. And then slowly, slowly, you feel like, oh, actually, it's not hurting me, you know, when I do that. It is actually giving me kind of relief when I can do that. And generating loving kindness for someone that has deeply hurt you doesn't mean that they're going to become your friends, in the sense that you invite them the next day in your life and say, you know, let's pretend nothing has happened. It's not like that. But instead of wishing them to suffer, you can see that whatever they did, you know, it's their very unskillful way of trying to find happiness for themselves. Maybe extremely selfish, maybe extremely self-absorbed, but they had no other way. So they want to be happy. So you wish them that, but you don't have to necessarily do anything else than just that. Right? So don't go further than you can. You know, it is a gradual process. I see I'm already talking too long. Okay, I'll say one thing more. Loving kindness, developing loving kindness is nothing else than reconnecting with our true nature. If we would strip ourselves of all our delusions, of all our ignorance, of all our not knowing, what we would be left with is a heart full of loving kindness and compassion. If we would be able to see the suffering of sentient beings, if we would be able to see in depth, right? I'm not talking about the coarse suffering that is very obvious, but if we would see that nature of all sentient beings looking for happiness, not being able to find it, looking for protection, not being able to find it, and this ongoing search that is never going to be satisfied. If we could really see that nature, you know, only loving kindness could come, only compassion could come. Loving kindness and compassion are what we say in Buddhism, they are part of our natural mind. They are part of, if we would realize the nature of reality, there would be only loving kindness and compassion in the heart. The delusions such as fear is not a delusion, fear is a feeling, but then in dependence on fear, we've experienced fear as a result of our karma. But then due to our ignorance and due to all the delusions that arise in dependence on ignorance, we have learned that maybe, you know, oh, I'm just an angry person, or I'm an impatient person, or I'm just very greedy, but this is not our true nature. It's not. It's something that we have been conditioned to. Due to conditions, we have become like that. And so when we start living up to our true nature, you know, everything becomes so much more easy. It is not that we need to learn something that is strange. You know, in the beginning, it might feel strange because we have been moved away, so far away from it. But the more you do it, the more you feel like, wow, this is actually who I am. This is so much more who I am than anything else. Right? That is love. Compassion. So the only thing what we are doing when we practice loving kindness and compassion is that we reconnect with our nature. We restore something that we lost. And maybe we were never fully connected, but I'm sure that you all have felt that connection in your life. And then due to conditions, we lose it. And so this is an opportunity to say, oh, I lost that, but I can reconnect. It's not something that has gone, right? It is something that has been covered up. But if we uncover it, it is naturally there. It's not that far away. You know, it's very close to who we are. We just can't see it at the moment, maybe not fully. All right. I had so much more. I might have to do that tomorrow. Do you have any questions? And maybe we can put the questions in the chat, you know? I don't know. Because there are quite many people, right? How do we know the true nature is loving and compassionate? So one time a teacher gave me this answer, and for me that I'm still puzzled by that, you know, and for me that works. So I just pass that on to you. So he said, we can think, oh, anger is my true nature, of loving kindness is my true nature. How do I know which one is the real true nature? So they said, if something is your true nature, you can generate that 24 hours a day for each and every sentient being. With loving kindness, that is possible. But with anger, it's not possible. You cannot be angry 24 hours a day with each and every sentient being. Impossible. But you can generate loving kindness for each and every sentient being 24 hours a day. So therefore, that is your true nature. Nice, huh? It's not for me. But I thought for me that works, you know, this love and kindness can be so exhausting. Then I wonder if that is you really tapping into loving kindness, and I wonder what is your motivation for generating loving kindness, because if you tap into real loving kindness, you are tapping into an inexhaustible source of energy. If you get exhausted by love and being kind to others, I'm going to suspect, and you have to check if that is true, that your motivation is coming from a people-pleasing intent. That you feel that you have to be kind, because if you're not, people are going to reject you, they're going to abandon you, they don't like you anymore. You know, then your loving kindness is not real loving kindness. It is actually a fear packed as loving kindness. That is very exhausting. Does that make sense? Whoever asked that question. Loving kindness has to be unconditional. Yeah, has to be. I mean, we would like it to be, right? Our loving kindness is always mixed with attachment. And so we can see the drawbacks of that attachment. And so we try to purify the loving kindness of that attachment. But as ordinary beings, attachment is there too, right? So we try to reduce it as much as we can, the attachment. Someone says, I find myself giving more than I receive. How do I maintain a balance? Is there even a need for balance? Well, if you say that you give more than you receive, that I think that's an indication that you feel an imbalance, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't say it like that. So you have to check. You have to check what is going on. Often when we are giving more than is coming back, sometimes people are scared to receive due to causes and conditions. Sometimes people only feel safe when they give. I think when you're really giving unconditionally, you do not have the feeling that you're giving. Right? It is just your nature and you love it. And you're not expecting anything back. And you do not feel that you get exhausted. At the end of the day, you feel totally satisfied. Right? We want to go to that kind of giving. So when you feel like, oh, now I have been giving the whole day and not much was coming back. Well, maybe that is an expression of some needs that you have. And maybe you have to think, what is it that you wanted to receive? And you can see if you know, maybe need to give that to yourself, or if you need to create the conditions that you receive that in another way, or if you discover certain needs. I mean, in Buddhism, it is the ultimate transformation is that, for instance, if I think like, oh, I wish I had received some compliments and that people said something nice to me. The best remedy for that is that you start giving that to others. You experience a lack because you have not created the causes to receive that. So what are the causes for receiving that? To give it away. So when I'm needy for something, I can start giving that to others. You know, and when I start giving that to others, often then you see that things start coming back in the same way. So I mean, I cannot give one answer to that, you know, so you have to check what is going on in your mind. How to be loving and still set boundaries if someone doesn't treat us right. Yes. So there is a difference between mentally loving and what you're doing physically, right? So if someone is not respecting my boundaries, it can be an act of loving kindness to say, excuse me, here are some boundaries, you know, and I would like to respect that. That it can be an act of loving kindness, teaching that other person how to do that, how to treat you with loving kindness. And you can say that with loving kindness, seeing that you help that person, not just in this situation, but also in more situations. If someone cannot hear that, it can be an act of loving kindness and say, sorry, but I cannot meet you in person. You know, maybe we can do it on the phone. If somebody doesn't respect your boundaries there, then maybe that is too much too for them, right? And for you, you might need to learn how to say that in a skillful way. But there are situations that people cannot hear it, that people have no education, emotional education about boundaries, and they just cannot keep boundaries. And then sometimes you just cannot see these people, you know. But then in your heart, you never abandon them. You never say, oh, I'm never going to think nice about you, you know. In your heart, you're going to wish them all the happiness that they want. And in your heart, you're going to wish them that they might learn how to respect boundaries in a way that they can have contact with everything that they want, or everyone that they want. Right? So mentally, you keep developing loving kindness and compassion. You never stop doing that. But physically you can say, sorry, it doesn't work for me. All right. Diane, I can't see you all. But if there's, oh, hi, Diane. If there is any more, you let me know. Have I understood it correctly? To minimize suffering, focus on the wisdom of emptiness. I never spoke about that today, but yes, you have understand that. To maximize happiness, focus on the Four Immeasurables. We have more methods than the Four Immeasurables, you know, but the Four Immeasurables is a very good start for generating causes for happiness. Even developing, I mean, yes, we say that a wisdom realizing emptiness eliminates all suffering. That's true. So even meditating on emptiness, when we eliminate suffering, we become more happy, right? When we eliminate suffering by meditating on emptiness, what we are doing is we are reducing the workings of the emotion, of the disturbing emotions. The delusions start to subside. They have less power. So that means we have more freedom in the mind, and that freedom, when we experience that freedom, we can feel the joy and the happiness of being free from all suffering. That happiness and joy that is naturally in our mind starts to surface, you know. So I would not 100% agree with you. In a way, you are right, you know, but I think the wisdom of emptiness also generates a lot of happiness, and by eliminating the suffering, that's true. By focusing on the Four Immeasurables, you create the causes for happiness, and with that, you eliminate suffering. So it's a little bit a different intake. I'll do one more question and then, or maybe two. Can you give examples of expression of loving kindness? Should loving kindness be accompanied by some, I'm not sure what that is, acceptation? So loving kindness is nothing more than the wish for others to be happy. That's it. I wish you to be happy. Then the more you understand what happiness is or can be, you can deepen that wish, you know. So if you are new, then maybe happiness, new to Buddhism or new to thinking about these topics, then maybe happiness is when I get what I want, or when I'm free of what I don't want, you know. So that is, in Buddhism, that is not real happiness. That is more related to attachment. But for us ordinary human beings, that is one of the ways that we experience happiness. So you can start with that. But then we like to deepen that, and we like to go to what is actually the cause of happy feelings. And the cause of happy feelings is that we have positive thinking, that we generate positive actions. And these are actions that do not harm others, and if possible, that benefit others. And so when we start generating that, they become causes for happiness. So when we understand that, then we can think, if I wish you to be happy, I wish you to be able to generate positive thoughts. I wish you to be able to engage in positive actions, because that is the real cause of your happiness. And then if I go even further, then I know that once I eliminate all my disturbing emotions and my self-grasping mind, I have this amazing freedom that I can experience in my mind, where just joy and happiness arises effortlessly. That is a happiness that is totally beyond any happiness that we can experience in samsara, you know. So I wish you that as well. And so what do you need to do in order to find that happiness? You need to do certain practices. So I wish you that as well. And so the more you know about the mind and about happiness and where happiness comes from and how we can create the causes for happiness, the better when you think, I wish you to be happy, that gets accompanied by all that knowledge of how to do it, you know. And so then your wish becomes much deeper, more profound, more meaningful. And then every time when you wish somebody happiness, you don't just wish them a nice feeling. The whole path to enlightenment can come to your mind every time when you generate that wish. So for yourself, you know, can be an amazing practice where you remind yourself on all these aspects of the path to enlightenment, or the path to liberation, or the path to ultimate happiness. I'll do one more before we do the meditation. And I will keep your questions for tomorrow, right? The questions that I can't get to today. And then I'll see if I can incorporate that in the teaching tomorrow. How can we ensure and differentiate if the love and kindness shown to us or shown by us is coming from a place of selfless love and not for pleasing others? If we show love and kindness, the world will think, oh, how good person she is. But that is not true love and kindness. Well, you know, when the world thinks, oh, what a wonderful person, that doesn't say anything about where you're coming from. Right? But you need to check where you are coming from. So if we are coming from so first of all, we all have a mixture of attachment and loving kindness when we practice, right? Because unless you have realized emptiness, we will always have some attachment arising in the mind. So don't beat yourself up, or you don't have unconditional loving kindness. You know, it's no need to do that. We all our loving kindness is not unconditional, but we can practice to make it more unconditional, right? That's all. So how do we know whether what I'm doing is pleasing others or not? That can be a journey, you know, to discover that. It has been my journey. I was very much a people pleaser when I was 20 years ago. And my spiritual journey has a lot. I know that my teacher said in the beginning, it's all about motivation. It's all about motivation. And I thought, oh, but my motivation is good. I want others to be happy. And I always come from that place. And, you know, I was a total people pleaser. I had no idea what was behind that. So I thought, what is he talking about? It's just your motivation. But then slowly, you start being able to what you believe is going to make people happy, and then others seem to be very ungrateful, or whatever you have done, they destroy in one day, and then you can see your own reaction, you know, and that reaction shows you where you were really coming from. So if you were really coming from love, it's not a problem, whatever they do. But if you're coming from people pleasing, and people destroy what you have been doing, or they are not happy with what you're doing, or they are rude to you, or ungrateful to you, you feel hurt, or you feel rejected, or you feel, you know, then you can say, something is there. Maybe what I was doing was not completely unconditional. And so whatever hurt you experience can be your entrance in looking like, where was I actually coming from? What is there that hurt? What is that? You know, and so you connect with that and you investigate that. And then when you find it, you can say, okay, how can I do that differently so that it becomes more unconditional? What is it that I was needing? I'm putting in all my actions. How can I give myself in another way what I need? Right? So that I don't have this hidden agenda every time when I do something. Right? If we come with our own needs, people pleaser means you are bringing your own needs and you pack it into, I want to make you happy, but actually you have your own needs and they need to be met. And when they're not met, you have a reaction. So there you can discover, oh, this is my people pleaser part. You know? But even people pleasers, you know, there is a lot of loving kindness there. People pleasers became people pleasers because they had a empathic capacity, or they were sensitive people, compassionate people. That was their best reaction, right? Or maybe that was a reaction that I have practiced a lot in the past, but now it has become mixed with another motivation. So don't beat yourself too much up. There is a beautiful quality that you are giving, right? You just need to take part of it out so that it becomes more pure. All right? Stay kind to yourself, right? Don't look too much in the faults, not to other faults, faults of other people, but also not faults in yourself. Oh, my loving kindness is not completely pure. No problem. Better than no loving kindness at all, right? Loving kindness, even if it is coming with a polluted motivation, at least the heart is opening. But having that double agenda or that hidden agenda makes that you become very vulnerable for the reaction of others. And so the more you purify that loving kindness, the more emotionally independent you become, the more stable your loving kindness becomes. You know, it is a kind of taking care of yourself, I think, when we take out that attachment out of the loving kindness. And so we don't do that from beating ourselves up. We do that as a way of caring for ourselves. Right? It is like brushing your teeth in the morning. It's a care for yourself, right? You don't beat yourself up. Oh, today, again, my teeth are not clean. You know, I have to clean them again. No. Same on motivation. Every day will be polluted with attachment. We don't beat ourselves up. Okay, I'll clean it. I'll clean it. I'll clean it. No problem. It will keep coming back, right? It's just like a mental hygiene that we are doing, or an emotional hygiene, however you want to call it. Right? But at the moment we have that nature that it comes natural to be mixed with attachment. So we clean and clean and clean and clean. And then it's, you know, with teeth is different. Teeth, they become dirty every time. But with loving kindness, that actually becomes cleaner when you clean every day. All right. So I'm going to read your questions later today and try to incorporate them in tomorrow's teaching. And I want to finish today with a meditation on the Four Immeasurable Thoughts. And I actually haven't gone a lot in it. I haven't gone into it at all, have I? So the Four Immeasurable Thoughts is a very beautiful and powerful way to start developing the mind of loving kindness. And not just loving kindness, but also compassion and also joy and also equanimity. But in the end, it all comes down to opening the heart. And so what we are doing with these Four Immeasurable Thoughts, we say, may all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness, which is the attitude of love. And then we say, may all sentient beings be free of suffering and the causes of suffering, which is compassion. And then we say, may all sentient beings, how do we say that exactly? Let me have a look. May all sentient beings never be separated from the happiness that is free from suffering. This is what we call joy. But this joy is, and I said that a few times, the happiness that arises in the mind, the joy and happiness that arises in the mind when all the delusions have been removed, that natural state of mind, you know. So that is something that we wish sentient beings. And then we wish sentient beings to abide in equanimity, free from attachment, holding some close, and aversion from keeping others at distance. The mind that holds some people close and others distance is actually that what causes us to close our heart in some situations. That what causes our loving kindness to be so polluted with attachment, that is coming from our lack of equanimity. So when we say, I wish all sentient beings to have a mind of equanimity, we wish them that they can develop a pure loving kindness, an unconditional loving kindness. Right? And so when we practice the Four Immeasurable Thoughts, we go through these 4 lines and we contemplate them, and we can contemplate them deeper and deeper and deeper, the more knowledge we have about the real meaning of these 4 thoughts. And so in the meditation, I will guide you a little bit on how you can contemplate the 4 thoughts, or in relation to whom you can contemplate the 4 thoughts. All right. And these thoughts, you can do them every day. You can start your morning repeating the 4 thoughts, meditating a little bit on it. But you can also, they're very easy to learn by heart, you know, every time when you go for a walk or before you eat or before whenever you feel like you want to repeat them, you can repeat the thoughts in your mind. And every time it will have an influence on your heart, right? Because they're so powerful. So this is a very easy way to remind yourself again and again, oh, this is actually my nature, you know, oh yeah, my heart feels a little bit like this, but I can just open it up, no problem. All right, so let's do a small meditation together. I might go 10 minutes over time. I hope you don't mind me doing that. So when we meditate, I think as beginners, the most important thing is that we sit comfortable. Whether you sit on a chair or the couch or a cushion. If you're an experienced meditator, you might like to go in the posture that you normally use. And if you're new to this, you can sit on a chair, you can sit on the ground, you can sit on the couch, wherever your situation invites you to. And it is helpful to have a straight back, to sit upright, because it helps you to stay more awake. It helps the energies to move through the channels that go through the spine and along the spine. You can close your eyes, not too strong so that it becomes too dark, but just loosely. Your hands are on your lap or on your thighs, wherever they feel comfortable. And then you try to let go of all the tension that you still feel in your body. No need to hold on to that. And then you think, may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. And you can think, may I have happiness and the causes of happiness. And repeat that a couple of times for yourself in your mind. May I have happiness and the causes of happiness. And then think of the beings that you love, people that are close to you, your friends, family. And you can visualize them in front of you while you think, may you be happy. And may you find all the causes for happiness. And keep repeating that. You see them in front of you and you say, may you be happy. And may you have all the causes for happiness. And you really try to feel that from your heart. And when you repeat it, you can visualize that the person in front of you feels it in their heart, that your wish is well meant, and they smile. May you be happy and may you find the causes for happiness. And then visualize on a neutral person. Someone that you know, but you don't know them well. They are quite on a distance. Normally, you don't really care about whether they're happy or not. But this time you try to connect with them. And you think, may you be happy. And may you find all the causes for happiness. And you keep repeating these words in your mind. And at a certain point, you see that they smile back at you. And then think of someone that you don't like, whether that is a stranger that you know has certain behavior or opinions that you don't like, or whether that is someone that you know but not so well. The dislike is not that great, but you just don't like them. And so when we don't like someone, we have some kind of aversion. And when we have aversion, it is more difficult to wish them to be happy. But this time you think, while you see that person in front of you, may you be happy. And may you have all the causes for happiness. And you repeating these words. Until you see that a smile appears on their face. And then observe how you feel during this exercise. So then from the mind of loving kindness, we practice the mind of compassion. And the mind of compassion thinks, may you be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. And so you think that for yourself first, may I be free of suffering and all the causes of suffering. May I be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. And while you say that, it can help to let light come from your heart, which when it touches you, totally removes all the suffering. May I be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. And then focus on your loved ones. Thinking, may you be free of suffering. You can visualize light going from your heart towards them, removing all their suffering. May you be free of suffering, the causes of suffering. And then focus on a neutral person. May you be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. And then focus on someone that you don't like. See their suffering. Any annoying behavior comes from suffering. It's an attempt for people to release their suffering. So may you be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. May you be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. Notice how you feel. And then we can practice joy, which is, may I never be separated from the happiness that is free from suffering. And you repeat that first for yourself. May I never be separated from the happiness that is free from suffering. Which means, may I connect with my inner joy, which is beyond all the delusions, all the ignorance. May I never be separated from that. And then wish that to your loved ones. May you never be separated from the happiness that is free from suffering. May you never be separated from your inner journey, which is beyond the delusions. And while you repeat this, you can visualize whoever is in front of you, that they achieve that state, that they connect with their inner joy, free from all the delusions. And when that happens, when you can visualize that happens, you can feel what that does inside you. And then visualize a neutral person in front of you. And repeat, may you never be separated from the happiness that is free from suffering. May you be connected with your inner joy that is beyond the delusions. And then do it with a person who you don't like. A person from whom you might think, well, they are always like that. They don't have that kind of joy. They're just miserable people. But then if we really understand how the mind works, also miserable people have innate joy. Their delusions are of a particular nature and they're very strong, but they also have inner joy. So while you visualize that person in front of you, think, may you never be separated from the happiness that is free of all suffering. May you be connected with your inner joy. And then we can do these first three of the actual Four Immeasurable Thoughts. We can project them onto all sentient beings, not just one person in front of you, but you can imagine all sentient beings around you. The people that you love, the people that you don't know, the people that you don't like, they're all there. Nobody is excluded. And then we go through them again by thinking, may all sentient beings, all you around me, have happiness and the causes of happiness. And while light is coming from your heart, white light spreading out to all sentient beings, touching them, bringing them happiness, you keep repeating the thought, may all you beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May you all have happiness and the causes of happiness. The light of your heart is just lightening them up. When that light from your heart is touching the sentient beings, they lighten up, they become happy. You see it in front of you. And when they become happy, you become happy. May all sentient beings be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. And again, that light keeps coming from your heart. And now when it touches sentient beings, somehow all their suffering is eliminated. You visualize that, and you visualize them to be free of suffering. And when they're free of suffering, they become naturally happy. And then finally, may all beings never be separated from the happiness that is free from suffering. May they all be connected with the inner joy, free from delusions, free from ignorance. And again, you send that wish on these lights, the rays of light coming from your heart that touch each and every sentient being. And that light touches them. It somehow transforms, their mind becomes free, free of all suffering, full of joy, innate joy. And feel what it does to you. How does it make you feel when you do this exercise? And then we rise in that. Wow, how wonderful that we all have the capacity to do this. And then we can dedicate all the positive energy that we have gathered by doing this practice. And we can visualize that positive energy in the form of white light that gathers above our head into a ball. becomes quite small and sinks into our heart. And then from the heart, it expands again and it spreads out to all sentient beings, touching each and every one of them, giving them all they need, releasing them from all their suffering. And then we can generate the thought that whatever positive energy that we have gathered today, may that be of greatest benefit to all sentient beings. And I want to thank you for being here today. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.